Greetings and welcome everyone to another thought-provoking episode of Toast and Talk with Ages. I'm your founder and host, Ages, educator, speaker, and strategist. Toast and Talk with Ages is an inspirational interview series to celebrate champions who have withstood the odds, broken barriers, conquered fear, and broke the glass ceiling of success. In our exchange, we will unravel their narratives by unfolding each chapter of sacrifice and challenge, distinguish breakthroughs, and attain opulence. Through their truth, we will be inspired to reimagine our purpose, trust our process, and achieve prosperity together. This interview series is authentic, so we can mirror ourselves without judgment or fear, but be influenced to utilize our power to pen our own narratives. Tonight, champion guest is the renowned Rasheeda Frazier. Miss Frazier, welcome to Toast and Talk with Ages. I am so excited to have you today.
Thank you, Aegis. I'm honored that you chose me to be one of your women champions. So I do appreciate that.
Well, guess what? You're a champion. And when you're a champion, you need to be known because there's so much you are doing in the community. I can't wait to unfold all those information so that others can learn and they too can achieve their goals. So thank you for coming this evening. You look amazing, I must say.
Thank you.
Yes, I love that new cut. It fits you well. I guess you're getting ready for summer.
Yeah, I'm moving and shaking with this and just, decided to show my face a little bit more.
Of course. Well, you have a beautiful face, so thank you. You're looking great. And I know you're ready for us to enter into this conversation. So to start off, Rasheeda, let's toast. Tonight is your night. Right? We're here to toast you for all that you have done, not only for others, but for me. I've known you for quite some time and you have really broken barriers and really soaring for success. So tonight, cheers. We celebrate you and all the best. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
That's good.
Yeah. What you drinking?
Well, to be honest, I don't drink alcohol. So my daughter will laugh at me. She said, Mom, you're drinking cranberry juice because I don't drink alcohol.
I have apple juice.
Well, that's why. Okay, but guess what? We're cheering just the same. So it's not what you drink, it's just the moment we're celebrating. So, so that's good. So, Rasheeda, I always like to take my guests through a journey, right? You're here to inspire others. You're here to allow others to see the importance of stepping out, breaking those barriers, and become their best. So the journey that we're taking is like a roadmap, right? So tonight we want to know your roadmap. So how we're going to begin is just to give a summary, because tonight is for you to share your journey. But others may be saying, who is this lovely lady? So I'm just going to give a summary of who you are so that others will know who you are and what to anticipate. Okay? So Rasheeda Frazier experiences spanned education. She was also in operations, finance, administration, organizational efficiency. Talk about management and business. This is Rasheeda. She earned a Bachelor of Science in Organizational Behavior from Mercy College. So we went to the same college together. She's a licensed New York City notary public, a member of several prominent business associations. I'm just going to name a few because this lady is accomplished. She's a part of Delta Mu Delta. She's a part of the American Business Women's Association. She's a part of the New York Women Chapter of Chambers of Commerce. And she's also an academic honor society in business. She spent 17 years, look at her, she's not even 17. She spent 17 years of her life in healthcare. And she's been performing management roles such as business partner, department administrator, people manager, and project manager. So as you see, she's quite diverse in her career. In 2012, Rasheeda decided not only to serve the healthcare sector, but also to help people in her community. So she went ahead and she created Empowering Greatness, Inc. And this organization is to help minority high students and young adults to be prepared for their higher education and also to introduce them to the world of business and entrepreneurship. That business, which is Empowering Greatness, has now expanded to a business consulting firm where she's now educating, mentoring, and assisting a business development, organization, and operational efficiency. And she's also created this Buddy Minority Entrepreneurship. So you're never alone while you're creating your business. So talk about local community and global space. This is the impact she's making. Rasheeda has an overall love for organization and structure. She enjoys working with people, helping them to obtain their personal and business endeavors. I'm just going to stop there because there's so much we're going to delve in, because she's not only in healthcare, she's not only working with people in the community, but now she's in the business world where she's helping us as business owners to realize our dream. So Rasheeda, thank you so much for sharing your bio with us. We are quite impressed with your career path. And now we're ready to hear it from the horse's mouth. We're ready to hear how your journey went. You've gone through so much and you've accomplished so much. So we'd like to know how that all began.
Well, it was really interesting. It started off with me volunteering. I was volunteering at my children's school, Camet Preparatory Institute. I would help the high school teachers and the upper school, just kind of with, ad hoc guidance counselor duties. I would help all the students through the application process, and I would, get them ready for higher education, what that's going to look like, what do they have to put on the application, how they need to be a well-rounded student. It's not just about your grades. It's also about community service, what you're giving back, your activities. And I did this for a number of years, just volunteering. And, I also helped my friends who didn't go to the school and their children. And I met a young man who said to me, "I'm not going to college." And I said, "Well, what are you going to do then?" And he said, "I'm going to start my own business." So I said, "Well, what do you know about starting a business?" And he said, "I don't know, but I know I'm not going to college." And at that time, because I had been contemplating starting my own business, and I had done a lot of research and spoken to a lot of mentors and sat in the business library, in Manhattan and in Brooklyn, and just read and really self-educated myself on business law, entrepreneurship, mindset, any and everything you can think of. I spent hours at the library just reading. So I started to talk to him about his business, and I started to say, "Hey, well, have you thought about this? Have you looked at this? Let's strategize. Let's start. If you're not going to go to college, then I'm going to work with you on a plan for your business." And it really started off with this one student, and it made me realize that because he ended up graduating, he ended up starting his own business, and he still has his business to this day.
Congratulations on that.
So just in doing that, and then also just seeing the help that I was giving to the other high school students and their mindset and how they began to really think about higher education and college, and what their next steps are in life, and who are they going to work for, or do they have a talent. I realized that I had a skill for helping people to pull that out, like pull out those ideas, pull out what it is that they wanted to do, and then help them structure it. So one day I was sitting down with a really good friend of mine, and I said, I've been doing this for a while. I even get paid for it. I really should start it as a business. I'm telling people how to start businesses. I'm telling people how to achieve their goals. I need to be truly my first client, and I need to do it for myself. I said, but I don't know what to call the business. And he said to me, well, he said, well, as long as I've known you, you've always been empowering people. And I said, yeah. He said, and you always concerned about the greatness of the people in your community, specifically your Black children, minority children, and the fact that they don't get a lot of access to information and a lot of access to knowledge. They don't get a lot of access to things that other communities that are a little bit more affluent get. And you're always trying to fill that hole and fill that gap. Mm-hmm. And so why don't you just call it empowering greatness? Because that's what you do.
Wow.
And that's how empowering greatness got started. And I already had test cases, from the volunteer work. And that's what I began to do. I just started, I built out the plan, and then I started marketing myself. So I did workshops at different charter schools and high schools. I would do career fairs and, career day speeches for students. And it really started on that level. But then my very first client, in terms of business development and organization, when that person came, they were like, my business is unorganized. And I was like, okay, well, let's take a look. And I stepped in, and it was like, oh, and that's where the expansion came into small businesses, and then my friends saw, so they championed me when I wasn't in the room. Oh, you need to talk to Rasheeda. She could really help you. They knew entrepreneurs and knew other people who were doing it. They knew what I was doing. And, the world of networking and keeping contacts really came into play because, when you do something, even, without getting paid, that's volunteerism, that's work. And it leads you to paid opportunities, but it also leads you to helping to fulfill your passion for wanting to help people. So it's a win-win. So I'm basically getting paid to do what I love.
Perfect. And thank you for sharing that. That's really profound. It all started through volunteer work. But you spoke something, you mentioned you also mentioned about network, that while you were not in the room, persons were talking about you. Yeah. Tell me more about that.
Just being helpful. I'm always helpful. I'm always mindful of, people in need. I'm quick to give information and advice. I'm definitely quick to tell someone to change their language, how they look at themselves, how they view themselves. If you have a question or something about business or about organization or about development or about operations and structure, I've always been that go-to person. So people within my circle, once they figured out that I figured out a way to package my expertise into a business that I can now give out to the community. Mm-hmm. And because I've helped them in different arenas, they were always, again, they were networking with someone. Somebody said, I need this. And it was automatic. It was like, I know somebody amazing. You should really talk to her.
Wow.
And that's really how it began. So just being yourself and kind of doing what you do naturally, mm-hmm. Whether you're getting paid for it or not, actually opens up doors. Because people will say, she's good. And I know because I've had experience with her. And I think she could help you.
That's perfect, because that's word of mouth. But yes, that is what you talk about, branding. So you've created your brand without even knowing, because persons were able to identify who you were.
Absolutely.
Without you being in the room. And that speaks volume of what you do, the effectiveness of what you do. So Rasheeda, thank you for that profound journey. I mean, you've mentioned so many things that I wanted to explore later on, but thank you for exploring that and telling us that. So I'm going to ask you, in regards to your upbringing, mm-hmm. were there any part of that you were being an entrepreneur then? So tell me about your upbringing. Tell me about your childhood. Did that play a role into who you are today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've got a childhood that's different from most. You know, mom, dad, sick. I have five siblings, all girls. So I have five sisters. I was always a nurturer and a caregiver for them, for my younger siblings, even my older siblings. I was always the one protecting them and fighting for them and, you know, making sure no one messed with them inappropriately. I helped my mom a lot, you know. She was the primary in the house. My dad was there too. He was great at just teaching us a lot about our history, our culture, who we were as a people, our greatness. To always stand tall, stand firm, never say you can't, always say you can, because you've already done it. You just didn't realize you did it before. He was really a champion of that. And my mom was just a big supporter, but I actually left home early. I decided I wanted to be on my own. And when you're on your own from the age of 13, that's early. But I did. I packed my bags and I told my mom I was leaving. And she looked at me and was like, okay. You know, I was always very strong, very just, if I knew I was going to do something, there was nothing you could do to talk me out of it, you know, and it was a journey. It was a journey. And I learned a lot about myself because I had to work, you know, I had to make sure that I was paying for my room that I had rented. I had to make sure I still got good grades in school, which I did. You know, I was in high school and I had to make sure that I passed my classes and I graduated. So I did that and I worked. And then I figured out ways to um, make money in addition to. So I always kind of had that entrepreneur spirit. I was always figuring out something to sell or figuring out something to make that somebody would like or providing a service, you know, that I'd say, hey, well, I'm going to do it, but you have to pay me, you know. So it was just always, I was always resourceful and very creative. I always had that entrepreneurial spirit, just kind of being out there on my own and growing up. Still very connected to my family, even though I moved out, still, you know, always would make time to go home and help with my sisters and still nurture mom, still taking care of dad. And that rolled over into adulthood. So the family was always still very connected, even though I just decided I was moving out.
Wow. So at the age of 13, you decided to go on your own.
Yeah.
But look at that. You were being resourceful. You knew your worth because even though you were helping others, you knew that there was a price. So you knew your worth. You were becoming so creative. And maybe that's your purpose. Well, not maybe, that's your purpose because look at what you're doing now. It's a carryover. So that's bold. That's a bold
It's
move.
it's very bold. It's a very bold move. Most people did not understand it. It was a little hard to describe in the early days, but I think people kind of just realized it. You know, my mom would just tell people, "No, that's her."
Mhm,
You know, you can't fight that.
mhm.
If she says she's going to do it, she's going to do it, and she's going to figure out a way to do it.
Wow.
You know, so she was just mom, and my dad was dad. They always were there for me. They supported me, you know, and just made sure. So yeah.
Yeah. And for persons who are out there, you didn't have to go out. This was a choice for you. But persons who are out there, and sometimes, they may say, okay, all is lost, at age 13, what would you tell those individuals? Maybe they're now teenagers or in their 20s, but they're still at that block. How did you manage? What are the steps that you've taken so that they too can see, okay, maybe I can try this?
You know, it really is about mindset and it's also about support. I don't want people to think that I was just out there and I didn't have anybody. Like I still had a whole network of support. I had people who cared about me. I had people who understood that I was a different type of child, you know, and I had a different type of energy.
Mhm.
And they allowed me to run with that, but they were still there. It was supportive. I always had someone, whether it's a teacher or one of our boss or my parents or my grandparents. I always had someone that I could turn to. I always had someone. I had very good friends who their parents would, you know, take me on. I still have very good friends from back then that we're, you know, still in communication. And I'm actually business partners with two of them. ironically. And I've known them since like junior high and high school when I was on my own. So, and again, just it's a support. And if for those who have to be out there and they don't want to be, find your support system. It's always, don't think you have to do things by yourself. Not everybody's life is going to be traditional, and it's not going to go the traditional trajectory. And there may be some not so nice things that happen along your road, but they don't define you. They don't define who you are and where you're going. I could probably give you a bunch of 100 million scenarios of things that did not go right in my childhood because I decided I wanted to be on my own at 13. But those things don't define who I am now. It doesn't define, they were stepping stones to help me get to where I needed to go. They were necessary lessons that I clearly needed, or else I wouldn't be able to be sitting here talking with you.
Look at that. And that's going to take me into your question. What were some of the most difficult decisions you had to make to pursue your destiny?
It really wasn't that difficult.
Okay.
I just knew I was going to do it. I don't. That carried over from childhood. Once I kind of sink my mind around something and it sets into my spirit, I'm going to figure out a way to do it. Unless I just really keep getting blocks after blocks after blocks, then to me that's a sign that that's not something I'm supposed to be doing, and I need to course correct and figure out another way. But I've never been in a position in my entire life that I can think of that I was not helping somebody with something.
Wow.
So I've never been in a situation where no matter, even when I wasn't doing good, I was still always trying to uplift someone else. So when I decided to really take empowering greatness to the next level, incorporate and really push it forward, push that agenda forward, it was easy because I literally took everything that I had in me, everything that I've already done, and I put it into the business. I packaged it. When I go out and I speak to a business client, I everybody, I'm talking about business. I'm talking about your business. I'm talking about what is it that you want to do with your business. How are we going to grow this? How do you want to set it up? I go through all the foundational things. And then I ask you, how do you think you're going to achieve this? What does this look like for you? What is your idea of success? How does that work for you? Because I also realize that anyone can start a business, but not everyone is going to be successful at their business if they don't have the right mindset.
So true. So
And
true.
a lot of times you don't have the right mindset because they have lack of access to information on even how to do that. So it's my job to empower you to look within yourself to pull out your greatness. That's how that works.
Wow.
You know,
I'm
so
speaking.
I have to help them break that down. I have to help them look at themselves. I have to let them see that there is really no difference between how you run your life versus how you're going to run your business, because there's going to be overlap. So it was easy for me. It was easy for me to put myself out there and to just say, hey, because if I didn't do it, how am I going to help somebody else do it? So if I can't do that for myself, if I don't have my affirmations and my mindset is not right, then I wouldn't be able to do it for someone else. I wouldn't be able to give them that level of coaching and that level of consulting on where they are and what they want to do if I can't even do that with myself. So it starts here.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, I'm maybe dating myself, but the old hair club for men, I'm not only the hair club president, but I'm also a client.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
love those commercials. That was
Yeah.
a commercial that always stuck with me because when it comes to empowering greatness, I had to sit back. I had to look at myself. I had to make some character changes within me. I had to make sure that I was empowered,
Mm-hmm.
that my mindset was right, that I was tapping into my greatness at every step of the way. I had to sit down. I had to meditate on me and make sure that my greatness comes out so that I can help your greatness comes out. It's a domino. I can't be at a meeting or with a client and I'm, you know, unsure. I'm nervous. No, I have to know who I am. And I thank my mom and my dad for that. Just kind of always from very, very early instilling like who you are. And they were always very purpose driven about giving back and making sure that we're uplifting the generation behind us and helping those who are ahead of us, who've kind of already paved the way but may still need help. So it really just kind of falls in line with how I view the world and how I view us as a people in our community.
Wow. Thank you for that. That is incredible. And what I'm getting from that is you are leading through experience.
Absolutely.
Right? So you're consulting through experience. And for clients that are out there who are not sure where to go, that's where you come in, right? So how can you help those clients who are not sure? They have this big dream and they don't know how to get things up and running. What's your role? How can you help someone to become their best?
That's where the structure comes into play. Everybody thinks a business plan is just to plan the business. It's actually to help you change your mindset around how you're looking at things. It's to help you structure your idea. It's to help you look at all of the things that you're going to encompass along the way to get to your goal. And I think people really underestimate the value of what a business plan does because they're thinking about it very from a very skewed view that it's only the business. The business plan is also part of your life plan. How do I need to change or adapt what my home life looks like so that I can have work-life balance to be able to do this business?
Yeah.
How does my mindset need to change around my relationship with money because I now am going to be charging and making money?
Mhm.
So there's a very fine line that people don't pay attention to. And that's really how I help. I get to the meat of the business, you know, whether it's an existing business that just needs a little bit of restructuring or idea that I'm going to help flesh out that's going to turn into a business. There's a fine line between your quote unquote personal life and your business life. Because how you function, if you work a 9 to 5, how you work at that job and that energy that you give is going to be the same energy that you're going to have for your business. How you think about work, how you think about working with people, how you communicate and relate to people is going to be the same way if you don't have healthy habits that you're going to communicate with suppliers and vendors and potential partners and collaborators. So I kind of bridge the gap and pull it all together for them so that they understand that while it is separate, it is the same because the common denominator in both situations is them. And
Wow.
if they're not in constant personal and professional development mode, you can structure your business, which I do, and we can have it step by step by step, which will be great, but it's not going to grow to the potential that you want it to grow because you have to know how to talk to people. You
Mhm.
have to know how to sit down and negotiate. You have to know how to deal with difficult circumstances and situations. You have to understand how to do those things. So it really is about looking at the individual person because it's not a blanket and everybody is different. Similar scenarios and challenges that people have, but there's still nuances to each individual and each partnership that's different. Even when I deal with partners, that's a whole lot of personality in one room trying to work together. So
Mhm.
sometimes I have to coach and consult on teamwork and collaboration, because everybody has an expertise and each level of expertise adds to the whole and completes the puzzle. But if everybody is driven by ego and everybody wants to be in the lead, that partnership is not going to work.
Oh, wow. Wow. So you're a coach, you're a consultant, you bring things alive, but first it's in the mind.
It's a mindset piece, and it's education
Yes.
because it really is education first. Because I need to help educate people on what that looks like. You know, I think one of my clients said it best. Spoke with her last week, and she said, I want to thank you because you have a knack for pinpointing all the insecurities within me that I need to fix. And I realize that that is what holds me back from progressing in my business.
Mm.
Can't have a business. We live in a day of social media and interviews like this, and just kind of really being out there, the internet, YouTube, you name it, podcasts, everybody's on it. You can't be scared of yourself and scared to put yourself out there, because nobody will ever know who you are.
Wow.
Especially if you've got a really good skill or talent.
Yeah.
Now, I meet some people who have it all together, and I lay everything out, and we go through the whole process, and then they realize that entrepreneurship is not for them. And to me, that's also a success, because you don't want to put your time, energy, and money into something that you realize that really isn't for you. But you won't know it if you don't at least start going through the steps in the process and really breaking down what that looks like. Because it's mindset, but then there's the very practical, administrative, operational things that need to happen, not just your product or service. It's all those behind the scene things that people don't think about, especially when you're starting out on your own and you don't have a team and you are the one wearing all the hats.
Yeah, it can be very, fearful, but it can be done.
It can be done. And sometimes it's just, not sometimes, most times it's about just simple mindset shift and structure, putting it in order. I find that when you put things in order and you give people an A, B, C through Z step-by-step guide to what things would look like, and you add in variables based off of their situation on what to look out for, they excel, because they have a map, they have a blueprint that's put in front of them that allows them to grow.
Wow. And that's why you're here tonight, to give us that blueprint. I mean, you have spoken about all the steps, what you need to do, look in that mirror. It's all about yourself, because, and there's always a saying that you are your own enemy, right? So it has to be you that gives you that power. So thank you so much for sharing. Persons who are out there and you need, your business is going, but you're seeing there's a lag, but at the same time, you may want to start a new business. It's very important for you to know structure, for you to be educated, for you to have that mindset, because if you think you can do it and you put the work in and you have that step, then the rest is easy, right? Because you've set the groundwork. So, Rasheeda, thank you so much for that. So Rasheeda, you mentioned a lot about mindset, and I know that you are a growth mindset individual. I mean, there's no limits when it comes into you. There's nothing, your word is unstoppable, right? If you think about it and you put that strategy in, it's over, right? So tell us more about that. Why are you so inclined, or why are you focused so much on mindset?
Because the mind is where it all happens. That's where, if you look at it from a religious standpoint, people have faith, they have belief, and it drives them. It encompasses a certain level of desire and passion to move you forward. It's what they think. You can't tell someone who is deeply spiritual that God doesn't exist for them. There's nothing you can tell them, because they know it, they feel it. It's their mindset. It's the same thing with business. It's the same thing with your growth and development. If you think it, you become it. If you speak it, it's because you thought it. So you become it. So if you're thinking negative thoughts, if you're telling yourself all the time, I can't do this, I'm not strong enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't have the energy, then you're feeding that into your mindset. You're feeding that into your body. And your body is going to listen to that. Your mind and your brain is going to, take that in, and you will never be able to be successful, because you done already told yourself that you weren't. But if you tell yourself, and it's not just manifestations of positive speaking and affirmations, it goes deeper than that. It's how you truly see yourself. It's sitting down at night and visualizing what you as success looks like, and saying, I could do that, and seeing that over and over and over in your head, and allowing that to really draw energy into you. You then become that. You read all the self-help books, you read books about spirituality and, rising to the occasion. You read about someone in their 10,000 hours, outliers, and everything else. The one thing that you see in all of the books across the board is they never gave up. And they never gave up because they looked at the end goal. They didn't care how they were going to get there. They had an end goal, so they had a focus and a vision. And they stuck to that focus and that vision, no matter how long it took. 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. The most successful people have failed a million times and they got back up every time. Mindset. So it's very important how you see yourself. That's encompassed in your attitude. What kind of attitude do you have? How are you seeing the world? Because if you see the world as dismal and I can't make it, then that's the world you're going to create. But if you see the world as I'm a success and I could really help someone and I'm going to do everything within my power to do that, I'm going to learn it and I'm going to read it and I'm going to research it and I'm going to be it, because that's how I see myself. So I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I'm always at that level, then that's the world that you're going to create for yourself. Then that goes hand in hand with business. So if this is a business that you want to carry out, even if it fails, then that means that you just have to course correct and maybe add something different so that next time it's prosperous. But you can't give up just because you had a setback. Adversity and challenges happen to redirect you and put you back on the right path, because you may have veered left when you were supposed to veer right. Everything was going good. Then you got to the fork in the road. You went left. You were supposed to go right. So left didn't work so that you can go back and now go right. Course correction. So we even have to look at obstacles and adversity different, because they come to us to teach us a lesson. They come to us to help us see where we need to change and uplift and grow. And that's why mindset for me is so important. How we speak is so important. It's very, very important that we speak the right things to ourselves. It's very important that we see when we look in the mirror, when we reflect, when we meditate, that we are more than what somebody else says that we are. And we have to understand and know that, or else we're going to fall victim to always complaining or being in a situation where we don't see our greatness. So we're never going to be great because we've blocked ourselves from our ability to be able to see it and then to do something to execute that. So that's why mindset is truly important to me in making sure, how we speak, our language, that it's so important, because what we speak to ourselves becomes reality. So yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a whole lesson on mindset. That's a whole lesson on mindset. And I do agree. Your tongue is a powerful thing, and what you say dictates your future, right? So, Rasheeda, thanks for that. And we need to talk more on mindset, because I'm big on mindset. And now you're drawing me more into there's so much more I need to know. So I thank you for sharing that. So, how do you keep yourself grounded?
Oh, I meditate daily. I do yoga and qigong. And I really just kind of tap into my spiritual source daily. I think about 11 ways that I can be the best me every day. How can I always be at peace? How can I unify with, everyone in a positive way? How can I tap into wisdom that is beyond me? How can I, live my purpose and my destiny? That's key. Always looking at ways to make sure I'm, I'm living my purpose and my destiny. How can I really network with people on a level, understanding that whether they're on my level or not, we're all interconnected, and there's a level of independence with everyone. How do I share that? How do I get that? How can I collaborate? You know, how do I seek justice for my community and help to uplift and grow people? You know, how do I choose the right things all the time? I'm always thinking about these things. I'm always making sure that my actions that I'm choosing to follow things that are good, things that are righteous, that I'm not, doing anything that goes against something that's not that way. How do I
That's it.
how do I how do I visualize, myself? How do I visualize growth for my community? How do I visualize growth for my children?
Mhm.
That's how I keep myself grounded. How am I speaking? What am I speaking? What are my thoughts? How am I devoting myself to the task that God has given me for how I need to uplift not only myself but my family, and not only my family but my community? What does that look like every day? How do I tap into that? How do I make sure that I am healthy enough so that I can continue
Mhm.
doing this for as long as I can? So I meditate on these on these 11 principles daily. That truly is my focus, and I sit down and I give time to it because I always want it to be at its peak. I want everything that I say out of my mouth to have impact and value. I want to make sure that as a person and as I'm walking down the street, that the energy that flows from me is different.
Mhm.
And if it's only one person that I can touch a day or a week, then I have done something because I'm living this life. I'm you know, embodying these values. I'm looking at this from a very holistic way on how I not only give to my businesses, but just how I give to life.
Mhm.
Because you never know who or why someone crosses your path.
Mhm.
And you can't be nasty to people just because you may not be able to help that person now, but later on you may be in business with that person. They were just going through a bad spout, and they'll remember you because you've given kindness or a good word. And if I have nothing to say because I can't say, or nothing to give, then I give a prayer that whatever situation that they're in, God lifts them out of that situation. So that's how I keep myself grounded. That's how I keep myself centered. It's kind of those 11 principles that I just play over in various scenarios throughout my mind. And I really just, and I try to be that every single day. I try to live that every single day. And that's what drives me.
I mean, you're not only, fulfilled with mindset where you're a very thoughtful, positive thinker, but you also have this awareness and you have these principles. I mean, there's so much that I'm gathering that, Arlene, I'm nowhere. I'm not even on the step of, and that's why you're so composed. Whenever we speak, and we're a part of a group for empowering others, and it's amazing. You have this presence, and that's how we met on LinkedIn. That presence, it pulls you in, and it's a genuine feeling. It's not something that is just there. Sometimes you go to a networking event and you just there, so you're not even yourself. You have that presence, and you have that fire that pulls others in and allow us to look at ourselves. Because sometimes when you're talking to me, I said, is this girl reading me up? Right? Because you have that connection with others, and that's a powerful thing, that you have. And I applaud you for that, because now you can help others. Sometimes we don't even know what we're going through because it's so much, but because you have that energy and you have that connection and you have that ground where you're grounding yourself, you're able to help us and pull others over. So I really, really thank you for this. I'm really learning a lot. My cup is not really full, but I'm getting it full. And I know that others are really inspired by this, Rasheeda. And Rasheeda, I want to ask you this, right? What do you want out of life?
I have what I need in life. I really do. I wake up every day and I breathe. And that allows me another opportunity to do something amazing for the day. So as long as I can wake up and I have breath, then I can do something good for the day. Like, yes, I need money. I will not act like money is not important. I don't want to get on here and act like, oh, no, I need more clients. I need invoices paid. I have bills, but to me, I'm doing this full time. I'm not working for anybody else but myself. And that is allowing me to fulfill my purpose and my passion to be able to help grow, educate, and give back to my community to help others grow, and be knowledgeable so that they can hopefully step forward and let that be a domino going forward. What do I want out of life? To continue to do exactly that. Like, I'm so serious. My birth my birthday is coming up. It's Saturday, March 20th.
Mm-hmm.
And a really good friend of mine said, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm just happy I'm here. And she was like, I hear you. Like, I'm happy I'm here. I don't know what else to say.
You're already fulfilled.
Yeah.
And
I
you're
just, yeah, what I want is to be able to continue to add value and impact.
perfect. Well said. And happy birthday when it comes,
Thank
right?
you. Thank you.
We're going to see each other the 18th, close to the birthday, yes. So
Birthday.
happy birthday. And of course, many times when you ask someone that question, they're not sure, but you are okay with who you are now because you are present, you are appreciating that, and you're fulfilled. So I
Yeah.
thank you for that. And of course, I was going to ask you about your why, which you spoke about, helping others, educating others, uplifting, which is all powerful attributes that you do offer every day. So Rasheeda,
Hmm.
if you were to write a letter to yourself in 2030, that's call it 10 years from now, what would that letter say?
It would say, I love you. It would say, I love you for all that you have done, for everywhere you have been, and the growth that you have shown. It would be a love letter. It would be a love letter to myself. That's what it would be. And it would be a thank you for your strength and your perseverance, and for not allowing life to take you out, and for keeping up the fight. Because that's how I see myself.
Yeah.
For always growing, for always challenging yourself to get to the next level. That it would be a love letter to everything that I've been through, and how it's helped to shape and move and grow me. So yeah.
Wow. A love letter. In all my interviews, this is the first I'm hearing a love letter, and that's powerful. Setting yourself a love letter. You should do that, and then we'll read it in 2030. I would love to read that letter. That letter should be a very grounded letter. So thank you. A love letter to yourself. That's powerful. So Rasheeda, we are almost at the end of this conversation. I have learned so much. I am reflecting on who I am, and I'm looking in the mirror and I'm saying, there's so much that Arlene needs to get done in regards to me, because we're all individual and we all grow. And as I look at you, I realize why you are always at peace. You're always comfortable in your own skin. You're not afraid to say what comes to your mouth because what you're saying is something powerful, something empowering, or it's just silence, right? And I love that. Sometimes you just say things to say things, but it's always good to be silent too. I'm happy about that roadmap and having that blueprint so that we can realize it. So, for our viewers that are watching right now that are unsure of their purpose, they're trapped by challenges, they're afraid to break barriers. However, they're inspired by your journey. What would be your advice for them?
Find someone who you can talk to. People underestimate the value of communication. And I'm not talking about just anyone, someone, whether it's your pastor, your, deacon, somebody at your church, um, someone who just talk to that person. If it's really specific to business, then call me, you know, or find a coach, find a mentor, because we're trained to help you. We've gone through a level of training to be able to help people come out of that mindset and kind of step away from fear. And I think, and that's what it is. A lot of it is just really fear of the unknown. I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing. We spend so much time thinking about what's ahead of us that we forget to live in the now, because life is happening right now. So what I would say is learn to look at what you have right now and how can I make today the best day that I can make it. And then when you go to bed and you wake up, it's like it's like a perpetual groundhog day that actually moves, you know? It's another day. And you're probably going to go through the same thing you went through yesterday, but you're better prepared for it each day. So each day gets better. And it's about training. Things don't happen overnight. Fears don't go away overnight, but they do go away if you put the energy and the effort to it to say, I just really don't want to do this anymore. There are a lot of phenomenal coaches. There are a lot of phenomenal consultants, life coaches, business coaches, entrepreneurship coaches. There's a lot of people out here who are doing some really phenomenal things by way of helping people kind of get out of that rut, get out of that mindset. Tap into that. Tap Facebook has amazing tap into the power of social media. There are some amazing self-help groups, excuse me, on social media. Not that, that's always the go-to. If it's something much more serious, we don't talk a lot about mental health, then I would honestly seek out a mental health professional. Let's not gloss over that as if, just a random person on the side of the road can help, because some people have deeper issues that, you know, talking to your pastor really can't fix. You need a professional. But no one should ever feel like they can't. And the only person that's telling you that you can't is you. Because I don't care if I got 100 people telling me that my idea is stupid, I can't do this, or something, or you shouldn't go this route. I'm the only one that can really break that barrier. I'm the only one that can say, hey, I can or I can't. Because what others say doesn't penetrate, is what you say to yourself. It's really about what are you saying to yourself and how do you start saying it differently. And a lot of times it's really putting yourself in a position to hear something different. But that takes effort, because it doesn't come just because you want it to come. You got to put some effort into the change that you want to make within yourself.
Wow. Putting effort in, becoming a barrier breaker, seeking help. Don't think that you're alone. There's always
Not at all. There's always someone. It's
always.
always someone. Yeah.
And you have everything that you need is within you, though.
Everything.
You just need to realize that you're more than enough, right? And that's what we spoke about today, digging deep, having the time to reflect, looking in that mirror and talking to that person until you realize who that person really is. Because many of us don't know ourselves, right? It's finding who we are. So, you know, today has been an extraordinary conversation. I would not call it an interview. This is a conversation. This is an eye opener. This is a way of seeing each other through each other's eye, where you're talking about yourself, but there are things that you're doing that I'm doing too. And I can see within myself that it's time to step out to and break other barriers. So Rasheeda, I want to thank you for being in this same space with me today and just exploring and talking about who we are, what we have to offer, the things that we are capable of, and the thing that we should always never, ever, ever be fearful. Become unstoppable, right? Become barrier breakers, because that's how we were made. We were made, right? Without limits. There are no boundaries to what we can accomplish, right?
My favorite word is impossible.
Impossible.
Because when somebody says that's impossible, I go, but I'm possible. So I'm gonna make it happen.
Wow. I love that. Impossible.
I'm possible.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you are.
Yeah. And so are you.
I am. I'm definitely. My word is unstoppable. That's my word. I am unstoppable.
Unstoppable and impossible. There you
Right. You know, I'm going to fall, by the way, because that's how life is. I mean, if you don't have a bruise, you're not living, right? If you don't have a bruise, think about the gold or the gem, those precious gems. They've gone through a lot to become priceless, right? So if you're just on the surface, that's not me. I am not going to be normal, right? I'm not here to just take up space.
You're
I'm
not
here to dominate and make sure I have a presence. That's me, right? So when I'm connected with you, you're just igniting that fire to say, come on, girl, it's time to step to the other level.
That's right.
Right? And this is what this platform is for, because many of us may be at the level where we think that we have arrived. But are you really there? Right? There's so much more, right? Don't minimize yourself to a pen. Get used to a bucket. And if a bucket cannot hold, go into a tank. If I cannot go, you just keep going, right?
The last thing I'll say just to wrap it up is that life is ever growing.
Mm-hmm.
You're ever learning. You're ever evolving. There is a final limit, but none of us have reached it yet.
Yeah.
So no matter what we're doing, no matter what we're doing with our life, whether it's 9 to 5 work, whether it's our own business or entrepreneurship, we always have to have the mindset of constant growth and development.
Yes.
Personal and professional development, spiritual development, whatever development that you need to have,
Mm-hmm.
that is going to be the crux of your life. Because while we become masters at what it is that we do, we still are forever students.
Mm-hmm.
We're always learning, and you always have to be learning so that you can grow. Something is always evolving and adapting, so we have to evolve and adapt as well. We can't stay stuck and we can't stay stagnant thinking that because we've obtained to a certain level, we've reached the pinnacle. The pinnacle, once you've reached that, there's another step on the ladder that you have to go up. So you should always be in that mindset of growth at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And always striving, because as the world changes, you too have to change with it.
Absolutely.
It's all about flexibility, adaptability, and receptivity so that you can stay focused on what you have in front of you and what your end goal truly is. And the only way you can do that is by being consistent.
Yes. What a way to end. What a way to end. That's your summary. That's my conclusion. Thank you so much for being here, Rasheeda, right? Reminder, be adaptable, right? We have to be flexible. It's all about adapting and being courageous too in doing all of it. And receptive. You have to be receptive. That's the first thing. You have to be receptive. That's the only way you're going to grow, right?
So for everybody, that's their 5 keywords.
Yes. You know,
Adaptability, flexibility, receptivity, focus, and consistency.
consistency. There you go. And all those words I will be named, that will be written in our tagline. So as you watch or video, you realize that there's so much more to just being you. There are so many limits that you still have to break, right? So this is just the beginning for you to start soaring. Be an eagle. An eagle is never complacent, right? You have to keep soaring. So Rasheeda, I thank you so much for this evening. I
Always welcome.
Thank you. I'm blown away by your roadmap, by your vision, by your focus. You focus so much on mindset, on meditation, on having presence, occupying your space. And if you think about it, you have hit on all the different pillars of success. That's you, right? And there's so much that we can learn from it. As I mentioned before, this platform is for you to mirror yourself without judgment or fear, but for you to see, what am I lacking? Look in that mirror, realize who you are, seek for help, right? And at the same time, educate yourself and learn. So I want to thank you again for being here. You mentioned all about your narrative. Now you've written your story. I know you're going to write a book, right? Because you need to write a book. The world needs to know this. Okay. Yeah, pardon me?
I said I am actually writing a book.
There you go. There you go.
Sure.
So that will be new for maybe 2021, 22. So that's, look out, right? That's coming. For maybe it's impossible to, impossible. You never know what the title will be. So, my champions, thank you so much for always viewing. And as you view whatever you've learned, please share it, because we're all in this together. We're on a movement to uplift and empower women, because we are the life givers, and there's so much we can do, and there's so much we should do. And my family, I'm always thankful for them, and for God for giving me this vision of really bringing powerful women in one place where we can talk, we can share, we can build, and we can become better. Of course, we're going to be here every Tuesday. We'll be sharing, and we'll be empowering others to become their best. This has been Toast and Talk with Ages. Reimagine your purpose, trust your process, and achieve prosperity. Rasheeda, thank you so much. Blessings always to you and your family.
Oh, thank you so much.
Cheers.
Cheers.